This episode is brought to you by Heyday. Feeling stressed? Take a moment for yourself with Heyday. Stroll through rows of golden wheat, tend to cute barnyard animals, and discover the joys of a digital farm retreat. You don't have to hop in a car or catch a plane. Escape to the farm at the tap of a finger. With Heyday, you're not just tending to a farm, you're tending to yourself. Heyday. Search Heyday, that's Hay space DAY, in your favorite app store. Heyday is a free-to-play mobile game and offers optional in-app purchases and random rewards.
We
are
Cultivate.
Cultivate.
We are Cultivate.
Hello and welcome to Yield Crime, where we discuss the funny, strange, and obscure crimes of yesteryear. I'm your host, Lindsay Valenti, and with me is my sister and co-host, Maddie Stengel.
Hello.
Hello.
How's it going on this sleepy Monday?
It's going.
Yeah.
I am feeling sleepy.
Yeah, it's kind of hazy, a little cloudy.
Well, I don't have anything in the corrections cubby. I did completely forget the sales on our TeePublic shop this month. Just blipped it out of my mind. So
it happens. It's all good.
So stay tuned for June. I'll do my best to remember.
Yeah.
No guarantees, but I will give it the old college try. I decided to switch up this week's topic. The original one was going to be really long, and when I was reading it, it sounded kind of boring. So I was like, I need something that's not boring to end May. So, instead, we will be talking about the haunted Wilson house.
Ooh, okay. I'm down for a haunting. And a ye old haunting.
Yes.
No less.
Information was pulled from the following sources: a 2023 Fish Wrap blog post by Jenny Ashcraft. And for context, that's the blog of newspapers.com.
Oh, okay.
I was trying to think why it's called Fish Wrap, but then I was like, oh, like fish and chips.
Yep. Clever.
It is clever. A 1999 Jackson County Banner article by Andy Proffitt. A 1985 Jackson County Banner article. 1959 The Tribune article. 1935 Jackson County Banner article by C.J. Broadhecker. And 3 Find a Grave listings.
Nice.
As always, thank you to Carrie Ann for her research assistance on this episode, and links will be included in the show notes. We wouldn't be here without support from listeners like you. If you're interested in supporting us financially, you can leave a one-time or monthly donation over on Buy Me a Coffee or our Venmo page. Links are in the show notes. And we make a point of reaching out to send you a thank you note and stickers to show our appreciation.
Want to show your support in a more concrete way? Pick up some Yield Crime merch over at our TeePublic shop. We shout out whenever there is a sale each month, and we work to make sure we're creating new designs and changing it up whenever possible. And hey, thanks for listening.
Today's story takes place in Medora, a town in Carr Township in Jackson County, Indiana. As of 2010, so it's been a hot minute, the population was just 693.
Wow. Little guy.
A little guy. Let me see if I can figure out what the population is real quick.
Just a little guy.
Okay, so it has gone down since then. As of 2023, it is 631.
Sleepy little town.
Yeah. Fun fact, according to Google, it was part of a large industry making a variety of clay products for agriculture, street paving, and building construction.
Nice.
In fact, in 1920, Indiana was 7th in the U.S. for production of clay products.
That's interesting. I wonder if it was because of the Mississippi River, right?
Maybe.
Maybe one of the big rivers running through that.
One of them.
Well, Indiana, I don't know. I don't know
either.
our geography at all. This is terrible.
I mean, it's fine.
Anyway.
So the key players in today's story are the Wilsons,
Okay.
Dr. Creed Taylor Wilson and Sophia Wilson. Now, Dr. Creed Taylor Wilson was born in Mercer County, Kentucky on November 12th, 1807. And according to his Find a Grave listing, Creed was the third child of parents Vance J. Wilson and Mary Polly Taylor.
Nice.
And I couldn't find out more about how many siblings he had, just that he was their third child.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Could be about anything.
Yep. On February 7th, 1829, at 21, he married Anne Elizabeth Marshall, the daughter of James Marshall. Anne passed away in 1838 in Lawrence County, Indiana, following the stillbirth of her fifth child, Robert Wilson.
That's too bad.
Of the children the couple had together, from what I've been able to piece together from Find a Grave, only 2 of the 5 children Dr. Creed and Anne had survived infancy.
Sounds about right. Pretty common for the time.
They were Sarah Elizabeth Wilson, who was born in 1832, and Marshall Vance Wilson, who was born in 1835. And fun fact, Marshall would follow in his father's footsteps and also become a doctor. Sophia Douglas was born in 1807 in New York, and little is known about her until she married her first husband, Samuel E. Whedon Jr., on December 30th, 1824, in Indiana. Samuel was 20 at the time of their marriage, and Sophia was 17.
Ew. That's terrible.
Pretty common for the time.
Yeah.
The couple would go on to have 2 children together, but I could not find any information on either of them, so I'm not sure if they passed in childhood.
Okay.
Samuel passed away on April 30th, 1830, at 25 to 26. It's unclear. He is buried in Durland Cemetery in Shields, Indiana.
Okay.
Now, Sophia and Dr. Creed would get married on June 20th, 1839, in Jackson County, Indiana. At the time of their marriage, both Dr. Creed and Sophia were 32.
Nice.
Their home soon became a blended family when Sarah, who was 7, and Marshall, who was 4, soon became the older siblings of 3 new additions to the Wilson family. Walter Scott, who was born in 1840, Anne Eliza, who was born in 1841, and Aesop C., who was born in 1843 in the little town of Leesville. That sounds like a cute place, Leesville.
It does.
In 1848, Dr. Wilson, I'm just going to call him Dr. Wilson right now, apparently. Yeah. He built a home for his family atop Medora Hill in the Pea Ridge neighborhood in Jackson County, off what is now known as U.S. Road 50.
I miss Pea Ridge. What? That was cute.
Yeah. So apparently the neighborhood in which they built their home was known as Pea Ridge.
That's so cute.
Yeah, I like it. The house, which was part of a farm, was a lavish 2-story brick building with hardwood floors, beautiful woodwork throughout, a broad stairway, and several fine furnishings, such as imported Persian rugs, fancy glasswork over and on each of the doors, and hanging kerosene lamps.
Wow. That would have been really lavish at the time.
Yeah,
kerosene was expensive.
Mm-hmm.
That was the bougie lighting.
So this family had money. We'll just say that. And I'm sure a lot of it had to come from the fact that he was a doctor.
Yeah.
As noted in the 1935 edition of the Jackson County Banner, quote, a wrought iron fence ran around the yard. In the front, a long, sloping lawn was landscaped with flowers and shrubbery, and a long stone walk ran from the little portico to the gate. on the north side of the house was a cedar grove, end quote. Now, this lavish home was the perfect place for Dr. Wilson to enter his retirement. He had practiced medicine in Lawrence, Jackson, and Washington counties for several years. So at this point, let's see, it was 1848. I didn't do the math when I was writing this.
That's fair.
So he retired at the age of 41. But you know what? They didn't live very long back then. So
right. So that would have been the equivalent of like retiring in your 60s, 70s.
Yeah.
Right now.
The people of Leesville and Medora knew Dr. Wilson and his wife to be devoted and affectionate parents. Not much is known about the family's daily life until April of 1861.
Okay.
At this time, all of their children, except their youngest, Asap, had left home.
All right. So they're almost empty nesters at this point.
Yep. This was also when President Abraham Lincoln called out for 75,000 volunteers to sign up to suppress the, quote, growing rebellion in the South, end quote, at the start of the Civil War.
Whoa.
The call to serve was clear for the young men of Jackson County, and they started to organize. Asap, the youngest Wilson child, was determined to answer the call and join up, even though he was 17.
Uh-oh.
Sophia begged him not to go, citing her husband's failing health as the reason she needed him to stay home to help her.
Weak excuse for an ambitious kid.
Yeah. Against her wishes and without her knowledge, Asap snuck out on the night of July 11th, along with his neighbor and friend, Henry Tanner.
Yeah, probably in a similar boat. Their parents wouldn't want him either.
He enlisted to serve under Captain Gordon Tanner in Company B, Indiana 22nd Regiment, where he was assigned as a drummer boy. So they were like, you're not old enough to shoot, but you can help lead us into battle.
That's terrifying.
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'd rather wait for the weapon. Thanks, though.
Yeah. Can
Thanks,
I just
guys.
drum in the back?
I'm just gonna, bring it home. Bring it on home.
Yep.
Behind us.
Asap was sent to Jefferson City, Missouri, and the following month he sent a letter home to his mother in which he shared stories of what it was like to live amongst the other soldiers, and he assured her that he was well and in good health.
Nice.
Quote, War Eagle, Missouri River, September 21st, 1861. Mother, I write you a few short lines to let you know that I am well, fat, ragged, and sassy.
I love him.
We are now on the War Eagle, one of Uncle Sam's boats, on our way from Boonville to Jefferson City. We left Jeff City Wednesday night and ran up to Glasgow, about 100 miles from Jeff City, where we was landing and sent out some troops to attack a secession battery under the command of Major Tanner, who was just starting out when he was seriously wounded, probably fatal. We are now guarding him down to Jeff City. The regiment is now encamped at Boonville. This will probably be the last time I will write to you, for the mail does not come up so far as our camp. Joe is poking around in the cabin now, tending on the major. We have been having a hell of a time lately. 15 minutes notice is all we get of marching orders. I have traveled nearly 600 miles now, and I have the first Sakesh to see yet. I don't know what that means. This old boat is running over logs, stumps, and everything else, so we'll have to close. Uncle Sam's Asap, end quote.
Interesting sign-off.
Right?
Uncle Sam's.
Oh, Sakesh, or Sekesh, was a shortened and informal term that referred to a supporter of the Confederacy.
Oh, like a successionist?
Yes.
Sakesh?
Yes. So he hasn't had his first battle yet, essentially.
Nerve-wracking.
Fun fact, Mrs. George Franklin of Medora would find this letter in the Wilson home in 1905.
Cool. How amazing would that be?
Mm-hmm. Now, despite his assurances, just a month later, on October 21st, Aesop passed away in camp from typhoid fever near Boonville, Missouri.
Sad.
And before word had even reached his family, he had already been buried in Boonville.
Man.
On January 1st, so this is several months later, in 1862, Dr. Wilson connected with a friend named George Gray, who lived in Cooper County, Missouri, near Boonville. He received a return letter on January 26th. Quote, "Dear Sir, your letter of the 1st came to hand this, and which was the first that I heard of your son's death, and I immediately called on Captain Kaiser for information, but got none. And this morning, being the first chance that I had to visit the graveyard, I found your son's grave. It is marked on the footboard with a lead pencil, but I can direct you so you can find it any time. In the Methodist Cemetery east of Jerome Babbitt headstone, with the footstone of Babbitt is at the head of Aesop's grave. Apply to John McClure, sexton, and there is no doubt but that you can find the grave at any time you come to get the body of your son. Captain Kaiser appears very uneasy about his pay. He says that Aesop was at his home 20 days, and his charge is $23.
So he's trying to get money from him for his son staying at his house while he was dying. Wow.
And in today's money, that would be about $840.
Oh my God. Cool.
Yeah.
Your son died. Give me $800.
Mm-hmm. And that's Captain Kaiser asking for it, not his friend.
Dick.
Just to clarify. There is no trouble in getting conveyance any day you want to the stage leaves here every morning for Tipton, 20 miles, and there you have railroad, and if you come to Boonville, Tipton is your place to get off. If there is any more that I can do for you, write, and I will assist you in any way that I can. As I am not very well, I will not write any more. Yours respectfully, George Gray." End quote. He did not have very good grammar, so I apologize.
It's authentic, though.
Yeah. Dr. Wilson had a lead metal casket shipped to Boonville in April of 1862, where Aesop's remains would be disinterred before being placed in the metal casket and sent back home.
That's crazy. That would have been so expensive.
Yep.
But how meaningful, too, of like that metal casket is that like it's permanent. Those remains are not going anywhere else. Mm-hmm. They're staying in that casket and they're coming home.
Yep. Now, this practice wasn't unusual at this time in history, but it was really only utilized by families who had the money and means to transport their fallen soldiers.
I can't imagine how much money that would be.
And I don't imagine that many people used metal caskets.
Right.
I would imagine they transported them in wooden ones, but I also don't know.
Even stone, maybe.
I suppose it also kind of depended on like how long they'd been deceased as far as like decomposition and stuff, but
yeah,
I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
When the casket made its way back to Medora, Sophia ordered the casket to be opened so she could verify with her own eyes that it was in fact her son.
Aww.
This wouldn't be her only request regarding her youngest child. Against the wishes of her husband, she had the undertaker pack her son's body in charcoal to deter decay, seal the casket, and then place it upstairs in the hallway near one of the windows.
So she could just keep him in her house, looking out the window. That's so devastating.
Yeah.
That's so sad. Oh.
It gets worse.
Sad Mom.
So each afternoon, Sophia would sit next to the casket, where she would spend hours in her wicker chair talking to Aesop as she knitted and mended clothes.
Yeah, that sounds right. For somebody who did that.
After 12 years, throughout which he had implored her to bury their son, Dr. Wilson learned of Mr. and Mrs. Keigwin, who were spiritualists that lived in Louisville, Kentucky. They would come to the Wilson home to act as mediums for $50 or around $1,300 today.
Oh my God. He was so desperate.
Yeah. Having endured enough grief, he readily agreed.
Yeah, I bet. He would have done anything.
The Keigwins arrived at the Wilson home on a gloomy afternoon and conducted the seance that evening. Several neighbors traveled in the heavy rain to take part after darkness had set in. One of them was a 5-year-old girl who was later interviewed by the newspaper, and thanks to her remembrance, we know more about this story.
Cute. That's really cute.
Yeah.
Like, kind of messed up, but like adorable.
Yeah.
I'm conflicted.
I know. I was too. I was like, it's kind of cool that she remembers, but also like...
It's refreshing, but she shouldn't have been in that situation. But it's interesting that she was brave enough.
Well, and the fact that she remembered it so well is probably because it was extremely traumatizing for her.
Mm-hmm. Like, she will never forget it ever in her life.
Yeah.
Permanently imprinted in her brain.
Yeah. During the seance, a muffled voice was faintly heard in the room and seemed to be coming near Sophia. With a trembling voice, she asked, "Who is this talking about?" To which the voice replied, "This is Aesop, Mother."
Oh, man.
"We can barely hear you. Why don't you talk louder?" Sophia asked. To which the voice responded, quote, "It is damp and rainy outside, and I cannot get nearer," end quote.
He can't come in.
Convinced that she was indeed speaking to her son, Sophia asked, quote, "Would you like to have your remains buried?" End quote. To which the voice responded, "Yes, Mother."
Please stop doing this.
When asked where, the voice replied, quote, "In the cedars just north of the house," end quote.
Okay. So she could still go visit if she wanted to.
Sophia agreed, and Aesop was laid to rest the following day in a grove of cedars north of the family home, just as he had requested.
Nice.
Dr. Wilson passed away a few years later in December of 1875 at the age of 68.
That is super old at the time. Wow.
Yep. And he was interred at Douglas Cemetery, which is also known as Wilson Cemetery, in Guthrie, Indiana. I'm pretty sure, in looking at it, I'm pretty sure this was like a private family cemetery.
Yeah. That just like became Wilson after more Wilsons probably were buried.
Sophia wouldn't join him until January 28th, 1891, at the age of 83 to 84.
Wow. That's incredible. Good for her.
She passed away in Leesville, and the pair were buried together in Douglas Cemetery. So she was buried right next to her husband.
Cute.
Aesop's casket would be dug up on the Wilson property and reburied next to his parents when the old US 50 highway was routed directly over his grave.
Oh, man. That happens all the time.
Yeah. So they were like, oh, shoot. We need to move this guy.
Yeah.
For years after, the Wilson home was known simply as the haunted house. It fell into disrepair and was damaged by vandals.
Oh.
Travelers who passed the old home claimed to see ghosts there, one of which apparently or supposedly was Aesop himself.
Interesting. Why would he linger?
Right. In an article published in 1985, Carr Township resident Oscar Wayman recalled when his grandfather helped move the casket. Quote, "He said there was nothing left but a couple of leg bones and the boy's hair still parted." End quote.
No, still parted.
No, I don't like that.
I hate that.
Oscar also shared a story of an event that happened to his stepfather when Oscar was around 8 years old.
Oh no.
Quote, "My stepdad came in one night as white as a sheet. He said he had a big rock in his hand when he went by the old Wilson place. He was afraid, you know. And all of a sudden, something white and shaped like a man jumped out in front of him. He threw the rock right in the middle of the thing, and the rock just fell to the ground. Then there was nothing there. I could tell my stepfather believed he had seen something. I wouldn't have walked by that place at night for anything when I was a little kid." End quote.
I bet. Couldn't pay me.
Mm-mm. In the article, C.T. Plummer recalled going into the ruins of the Wilson home. Quote, "We'd go in and up the old stairs. All the window glass and all the fine furniture and things they said used to be there were gone. There was a big old white horse kept in the pasture by the house. It'd be just a dim white shape in the dark, and we'd tell the little kids it was the ghost." End quote. Winfield Eglin, another Carr Township resident, noted, quote, "We'd tell the smaller kids the place was haunted, and one of us bigger boys would go upstairs and make noises." End quote.
Cute. Mean, but cute.
Yeah. 100 years after the original house was built, in July of 1958, the remains of the two-story home were torn down to make way for a new mission church. Reverend M.C. May, pastor of the Medora Interdenominational Mission Church, oversaw the demolition. It is now known as the Midway Apostolic Church in Medora, Indiana. Today, nothing remains of the once ancient and beautiful mansion except for a few cedar trees that weren't uprooted when old US 50 was installed.
That's really sad. That's
And
really sad.
I know. So it's like,
I kind of hope they haunt the shit out of it now.
yeah. I hope they just like haunt the church.
I hope they just terrorize it for funsies.
I looked up pictures of it, and it's just a really small brick church. And it sounded like they didn't have a very large congregation.
Did you see those pictures of the plantation that burned down recently?
Yes.
Man, wild.
Mm-hmm.
I think about that all the time now.
Yeah.
Darkcast Network. Welcome to the dark side of podcasts.
The files are located on the second floor, at the end of a long hallway. The fluorescent lights above flicker on and off. Open the door on the right. In the bottom drawer of a file cabinet, there it is, a folder labeled with 3 words that are poured onto stories. Stories of history, stories of people, stories of death. I'm Luke Poling, and this is Famous Last Words.
Darkcast Network. The light shines brightest on our indie podcasts.
Welcome to Creepy Tapas,
where we do the opposite of deep dives and bring you tiny tastes of terror connected by a common ingredient.
True stories to haunt and chill you and the pop culture they inspired.
Or at least the movies and books that remind us of them.
Join us as we descend into darkness,
beginning with the lighter side of our weekly topic,
and wrapping with a full dark, no stars account of terror, madness, murder, and more. It's Creepy Tapas, y'all.
If you love the show, the best way to support us is to leave a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, Good Pods, CastBox, Podcast Addict, and or Audible. Links to all of these are in our show notes, or if you're already listening on one of these platforms, you know what to do.
Oh, and while you're at it, shoot us a question you'd like to hear us answer on the pod. We'll give you a special shout out and address your burning questions all at the same time. The weirder, the better. Submit them via link in our show notes or shoot them to us in our DMs.
And this week's podcast plug is Famous Last Words. Famous Last Words is a study of some of the final words uttered by history's greatest, as well as a few stories you might not know.
Nice.
It is part of the Darkcast network, and we will have a link to their show in the show notes. We love to hear from you, and there's a couple of ways you can reach out to us. You can email us at yeoldecrimepodcast@gmail.com, where you can send us story ideas, share any spooky stories you may have, fun gifts, or even just to say hello.
You can also reach out to us via snail mail. Remember mail? Our mailing address is Ye Olde Crime Podcast, P.O. Box 341, Wyoming, Minnesota 55092. Fun fact, we like to send out thank you cards with fun stickers you can't get at our shop, so it's worth the cost of a stamp.
On that note, what's something good you'd like to share?
Something good. Our puppies are starting to calm down a little bit more. Or testing leaving the house without them for periods of time. So we had some volatile puppy issues. We had a working dog that stressed out the household for a long period of time. And so one of our needy babies is now extremely needy. And my service dog is kind of curmudgeon-y and he doesn't really want to work anymore. So he doesn't like going out as much. So we tested this morning by going to Denny's, and it was a success. They did a great job. They didn't pee or panic, and everybody was happy that we were home. So I think it's good. But yeah, progress, because before we could barely go down the block without them like peeing on the floor or like tearing at the door to try to come after us. So we used to have to take them with us all the time. So this is a big step because we were gone for, we went to Fleet Farm too to get fertilizer for the lawn. So we were gone for 3 hours.
Nice.
So they did a really good job. So we praised them pretty hard and cuddled, and yeah, it was a nice day.
That's awesome.
Yeah. What about you? What's one good thing?
Last night, was it last night? It was last night. My days all blurred together.
Same.
Thomas and I watched a movie that I've been wanting to watch for a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And we finally found it and were able to rent it for $4. It was The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare.
Oh yeah.
By Guy Ritchie. And it was really good. So for people unfamiliar with the plot, it's based on a true story, loosely based on a true story.
Right.
As any Guy Ritchie movie would be.
Right.
And it's about this super secret operation that was done called Operation Postmaster during World War II. And it was orchestrated by Winston Churchill to essentially cut off supplies for the Nazis to their U-boats, which were devastating, the British ships in the Atlantic. So the operation was a success, and shortly after this mission took place, the U.S. entered the war to support the British. So it was a really good movie. It was funny. It's always funny killing Nazis. So,
right.
So yeah, I really enjoyed it. It was, like I said, something I'd been wanting to watch for a while, and it did not disappoint.
That's awesome.
It was worth the $4 that we paid to rent it.
Who's in it?
It's Henry Cavill and the guy from Reacher.
Okay.
I can't remember. Okay, I'm going to have to look it up because I'm going to feel like such a dick for not knowing his name. And this movie came out in 2024. It's got Alan Ritchson, so that's the guy from Reacher. Rory Kinnear played Churchill.
Okay.
There were a lot of other actors in it that I'm not as familiar with, but that's not really surprising because I think it was a primarily European cast.
Okay.
It's on Stars, which...
Oh, Oh, okay.
Like, we don't have that service, but if you do and you really want to watch this movie, I highly recommend it. And if you
Interesting.
don't have Stars and you use Google Movies, you can rent it for $3.99.
Interesting.
It is worth the $3.99 and whatever tax to rent it. So
there you go. Wow, high praise and the tax. There you go.
All right, shall we?
Let's do it.
Want to be social with us? You can see pics from this week's episode, bonus content, and funny memes on X at Ye Olde Crime Pod, or on Facebook, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and YouTube at Ye Olde Crime Podcast.
Speaking of YouTube, we have a special playlist just for our Can You Crack the Cramp Word segments with our guest podcasters to see who can correctly guess the meaning of some obscure Victorian slang terms. If that's your thing, check it out.
And on that note, as always, I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Madison.
And we'll see you next time with another tale
as old as crime.